Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to invite on stage none other than the Executive Vice President of Star India. Please put your hands together for Mr. David Freeman.
We often get confused. Now, I don't know the significance of introducing me by showing pictures of traffic, but somehow that seems appropriate for where we are. I always believe that sometimes it's a good idea to counter-brand. We've already been told that this is going to be a very exciting and intense event. I'm going to counter-brand by being boring and laid back. I heard yesterday that the largest market for Facebook in the world is in India. Did you know that? Counter-branding idea for people who are ashamed, a connecting device called losing Facebook. Okay, I was told that this room was going to be filled with movers and shakers from the advertising industry. The people who told me that, they lied. I see some people moving. I don't see anybody shaking. So can you please turn to someone you do not know, shake their hand, and tell them something about yourself that very few people know about you right now. Did you do it? Come on, tell somebody behind you. She was trying to get out of it. I know why, too. We're going to come back to that. Okay, everybody. So, near the loft where I live in downtown Los Angeles is a delightful little coffee shop called Demi-Tasse. I go there quite frequently, but the other day I was walking by and something caught my attention. This sign, pastry happy hour, all pastries discounted between 4 and 7. Other people might have thought, wow, this is a good time to buy pastries. I found the sign slightly disturbing, and I'll tell you why. Why are the pastries so happy? They're about to be eaten. Reduced prices mean that they're going to be consumed. These pastries are marching toward their death. They need a pastry therapist stat. See that? That looks like a happy muffin. That is not happiness. That's insane suicidal glee as this little muffin lurches forward on its own self-imposed death march. Well, that was my story. These other patrons have their own stories. And what's the point? The point is this is exactly why the dinosaurs deserved to die. Now, the dinosaurs lived from 245 million years ago to 66 million years ago, until they were, as you know, killed off by an asteroid in what's called the KT extinction. Now, why did they deserve to die? They lived on Earth for 175 million years, and they didn't evolve a single story. You never hear stories about Teresa, the tender Tyrannosaurus. There are no stories about Bill, the buff Brontosaurus. Or how about Tim, the troubled pterodactyl? No. I say 179 million years, not a single story. Good riddance. And so came the age of storytelling. Now, mankind originally evolved into 4 prototypical humanoid species. You probably know this. There were those who enjoy the taste of fast food, those who like watching TED Talks, those who are drawn to surrealistic Polish posters. Those are the first 3. Now, how many people here can like or kind of like at least one of these 3 things? Raise your hand. Okay, some people did not raise their hands. They're descended from the 4th group of prototypical human beings. Those who never have fun at parties. I know you. Anyway, these 4 groups of prototypical human beings interbred and created the panoply of human personality types that we see on the world today. This little statue from 2,200 years BC, this little statue from 2200 BC is only 1 inch large. Now, it's very small, and it's kind of hard to see what it is, but maybe this will help you. It's a deer. On the back of the little carving are scratches. They don't look like much until you press these scratches into clay, and then you see this. Some artist, 2200 BC, looked at a deer and said, that deer is beautiful. That deer is meaningful to me. I feel something. I identify with its beauty. 2200 BC. This is a card from a card maker called Papyrus. Just bought it the other day. You can't tell in the photograph, but it glitters. It's very, very pretty. And whoever would buy this card would think to themselves, this card is beautiful. It's meaningful to me. And the friend I'm going to give it to, she is like a butterfly. She is that butterfly. A deer, a butterfly. Emotion is what guided people 2,400 years ago. Emotion is what guides people today. And if we were to peek into the future, if you were to blink your eyes and come back at a distant time from now, we'd find that emotion is still the thing which illuminates people's hearts. Let me say that again. If you were to close your eyes and come back in the distant future, you'd find that emotion is still the candle that lights people's hearts as they walk through their days and their evenings. Emotion then, emotion now, emotion in the future. It's all about emotion. You can crunch your numbers, you can use your big data to data mine and find out in your A/B testing who's responding to what ad, but still, there better be something there that is speaking directly to the heart if you want people to care. I have ads that follow me all over the internet from things that I looked up a year ago, but I don't care. It doesn't touch my heart. Now, you and I are in the same business. We all deal with stories, and stories broadly defined. And we all want craving at the end. In my case, what we want at our TV network is for people to crave more of the same TV series, more of the same types of stories, and to see the same characters over and over again. In your case, you want people to crave more of the products and services that you are advertising. And to do that, both you and I want the same thing. We do this by creating desirable experiences for the audience or the consumer. What types of desirable experiences? I don't know. I have a list at home of at least 100, and I'm sure you've thought about these things too. Here are just a few of them. And here are a few more desirable experiences. Of course, within each of these desirable experiences are many subgroups. You could break these down into many varieties. Under play comes laughter, fun, carefreeness, the ability to make others laugh. Each one of these is an entire zone. Now, to turn a story into a desirable experience, you have to, you might say, process the story through a magic box. Something happens in the magic box to turn a story into a desirable experience. How many people here want to know what's in the magic box? Raise your hand. You don't want to know what's in the magic box? You don't. There's somebody here who doesn't want to know what's in the magic box. You know why? He's descended from these guys. Those who never have fun at parties. Okay, that's fine. Everybody has to be descended from something. Now, at STAR, we created the STAR Writers Program. In this writers program, we train people in the magic techniques that turn stories into craving. It's 5 months long, it's 8 hours a day, it's 6 days a week. We only take 1% of the people who apply, which is 15 people. Only half of those get into STAR. Only half of those are good enough to graduate, which is very, very painful for the 7.5 person who we have to split in two. And then we give them a 2-year writing contract at STAR. So if it takes us 5 months to go over all the techniques in the magic box, obviously we can only dabble in them today, but let's dabble. Let's go into the magic box. Now, if you go through the magic box, which is a sort of portal, you end up at a real portal, the doorway to the techniques that create craving. Here we go. What's through the doorway? Well, I think you already know the answer to that. It's Daniel Craig. Now, if we take a look at Daniel Craig's portrayal of James Bond, here's what we find in his personality. We find, first of all, that he is sophisticated. He's also got a tightly wound energy, which is sometimes a violent energy, right beneath the surface. He's a fighter. Now, you can't, in creating a character, have opposite traits, nor can you do so in a brand. You can't have a person who's both very, very shy and very outgoing. You can't have a person who's very, very emotional and also has no emotion whatsoever. But what you can do is what I call skewed opposites, meaning things that are almost opposites. For instance, a person who's very narcissistic and yet generous. Well, the opposite of generous is stingy. The opposite of narcissistic would be someone who cares more about other people than they do about themselves. So these two are not opposites, but they're called skewed opposites. And so we see in these two traits skewed opposites. In creating a character, you don't need to create skewed opposites, but it's a kind of fun way to confuse the audience and mystify them and not be able to figure out who your character or your brand is. Diesel has skewed opposites. It's rebellious and of the people and very expensive. Go figure that one out. Now, he's also very smart, and of course, Daniel Craig as James Bond fights evil. That is the outline of his personality. There are many, many other aspects in creating a character or a brand. There are actually 7 layers to a character. There are 7 layers to a brand. That's a talk for another day. But the bottom line is that when you're creating a multifaceted character or brand, the consumer or the audience doesn't know what you're doing. It's all appealing to their subconscious. It's all addressing them on a subconscious basis.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
karate. I know jujitsu and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Now, Michael came out with a cheaper razor, and most marketers would say, well, let's just advertise that. It's cheaper than Gillette. End of story. Why spend so much money on razors? That's not what Michael did. He actually created a very interesting brand personality for his discounted razors. Let's take a look at it. First of all, they're economical. They're cheaper. Okay, we got that. They're convenient. They come to your door. Today's the day of convenience. I got that. But funny in all their advertising, in all their marketing, funny in an intense, off-the-wall, self-aware, which is very hip, way. Of course, self-aware humor has been around for a long time. Those two are skewed opposites. Normally, when you're giving a bargain basement price on something, you don't also say, and it's funny, self-aware, off the wall. He's a rebel. He's bucking the system. He's going against the big brands. And he's warm to a degree. He's friendly. A little bit of a skewed opposite there as well. And so he did not follow the conventional wisdom and just advertised that it was a cheaper razor. He created an emotional experience. Emotion then, emotion now, emotion forever. In just 4 years, you know what happened. $1 billion. Wouldn't you like to do that? And he didn't start it with a lot of money either. That's the power of emotion. Again, at the end of the day, after you've sifted through your big data analytics, when you've sifted through your big data analytics, you're still going to need something emotional, something that speaks to the heart, mind, or gut of your consumer. I'm going to show you a couple clips from Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Who here has not seen it? Who's not seen the third Lord of the Rings movie? Who here has not seen it? Thank you. Who here has not seen it but is too embarrassed to admit you haven't seen it? Okay, there we go. The truth comes out. I feel like we're making a lot of progress in these sessions. I think we should continue. I'm going to set an appointment for next week. I want to stop now because we've had a major breakthrough event here. I think we're all going to need time to process it.
Give me your hand! Take my hand! No! Don't you let go! Don't let go. Breathe!
before I discuss this clip in relationship to marketing, I want to show one more clip from near the end of the movie.
My friends, you bow to no one.
And thus it was, the fourth age of Middle-earth began, and the fellowship of the ring, though eternally bound by friendship and love, was ended.
Amazing. I don't have time to diagnose some of the more sophisticated digital marketing campaigns of the last year because some of them are so multifaceted, so multi-pronged, utilizing so many digital platforms at the same time that it would take too long to, you might say, dissect each one and discuss what it's doing to create emotion in consumers. So let's take a look at how the techniques used in these two clips apply to simpler marketing campaigns that use the identical approaches that we just witnessed. But first, let's take a look at the techniques themselves that were employed. Now, I mentioned that there were 7 layers to a great brand or a great character. One of them is techniques that make us empathize with the character or dislike the character if you turn any of these techniques upside down, or if you want to create a character neither likable nor unlikable, some empathy techniques, some upside down empathy techniques. Or you want to create a flawed villain, a cool villain. If you want to create a cool villain, let's try again. If you want to create a cool villain or a flawed hero, some empathy techniques, some upside down ones. Here we saw, number 1, the hero faces impossible odds. Number 2, loyalty to a friend. Sam and Frodo are so loyal to each other. And then we have the third one, willing to sacrifice oneself for a noble cause. Now, another layer of a character or a brand are the things that give a character or a brand depth, poignancy, soul, whatever you want to call it. And some techniques that are empathy techniques are also on the character deepening technique list. This is one of them. And here in this clip, it's a scene deepening technique. The character finally receives the appreciation and love that he or she has waited so long to experience. Now let's see how these apply in marketing campaigns. Nike, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his football career for a cause that he believed in. And yes, after a year and a half went by, and it was discovered that the National Football League was engaged in incredible collusion to make sure that no team hired him, he did receive a settlement. But that was unclear when he made his choice to stand up for what he believed. And then Nike, playing the ultimate high-stakes poker game of choose who to lose, embraced him as a symbol for a stance that they're taking. And if you take a look on the internet, it's a quite controversial campaign. It was no slam dunk. It was by no means a campaign that was without risk. but they knew what they were doing. Now, what could be more pedestrian than highlighting markers? Stabio Boss, who knows this campaign? Highlight the Remarkable, you know it. It's amazing, isn't it? I don't know if you're going to be able to read this because it's pretty small. You can't read it. I can't read it. Hang on, I'm going to walk over here and read it. Highlight the Remarkable. I can't even read it here. Can one of you read it? Over there, somebody in the AV booth? No, they are on another planet. Hey. Okay, can you please read what's on screen? Aloud, so the whole audience can hear it. You need a microphone? You guys, I want to show you what they're doing. I didn't realize that this would be illegible. I wouldn't pause if I didn't think it was important, because how do you make a magic marker, a highlighting marker, something so boring, become emotional? Remember that Dollar Shave Club, these are just razors, and Michael gave the brand incredible emotional power. Yeah, can you read aloud?
Highlight the Remarkable, Lise Meitner, discoverer of nuclear fission, whose male partner was awarded with the Nobel Prize.
Right, the man gets the Nobel Prize. Highlight the Remarkable. Now this one is a little bit easier to read. And of course, those of you who saw the movie based on her are familiar with her story, Hidden Figures. Katherine Johnson, the NASA mathematician responsible for the calculations resulting in Apollo 11's safe return to Earth. That's a little bit of a highlight of her career. She did much, much more than that. See the movie, it's amazing. Highlight the Remarkable. What a way to take, and of course these things went viral. Why wouldn't they? But what a great idea to take something so pedestrian, as I mentioned, as a highlighting marker and add emotion to it. Oops. Now, I'm going to end the talk by saying, when I'm looking for wisdom, and when you're looking for wisdom, of course, there's only two places to look, right? There are political figures, and there is street art. For me, I choose street art. Smile and wonder. This is a very, very big mural. It doesn't say find something wonderful and smile about it. It says smile and wonder. Create the smile and decide to create wonder, which you do by bringing a little bit of light into the world. And I think one of the best types of stories are the stories you live where you enhance the stories of other people, make their lives a little bit more amazing and memorable. So over the next couple of days, you'll have many chances to do that and come home with great stories of your own. But before you do that, before you unleash your inner angel, I have some bad news to tell you. A cataclysm is coming. Sorry, you heard it first here. Yeah, those of you on Twitter, the end of the world is near. You can let the whole world know. Now, sometimes it's the slightest thing that causes a huge change. People don't know it at the time, but 1914, a guy named Franz is killed. Next thing you know, World War I. 1960, something, this little bitty thing is invented. It's called the birth control pill. It changes the world. People didn't know it at the time. 1964, a couple guys with weird haircuts appear on an American television show called The Ed Sullivan Show. Changes the world. They're called the Beatles. Not evident at the time, not predictable, a small thing causes a global event. Our cataclysm that's coming soon is going to be caused by these. Tuscan peasant potato chips. You don't think so? Just wait until history reviews it. Now, these chips come in a small little bag. They cost $3. And there are so few chips in this bag that a tubercular seagull with just one wing could carry 10 in his beak and fly the length of Italy. $3 for just a little bag of chips? And they are tasty, by the way. They're delicious. But $3 for a little bag of chips? Do you know who can't afford these Tuscan peasant potato chips? Oh, by the way, that's Tuscany, just so you know. I always like to orient people. But you know who can't afford these chips? Tuscan peasants. And so, though they're extremely delicious, they're also such a caricature of bourgeois excess that they proclaim in their own slightly salty but binding way that our species has lost its moral authority to exist. And as such, they are the cultural tripwire that will soon usher in the next big global extinction event. Yes, it's the TP extinction. It's the TP extinction, the Tuscan peasant extinction. Now, when there is this next global extinction event, only one group is going to be spared, and that's going to be Tuscan peasants. If I were you, I would start learning Italian now. Thank you, and ciao. Instead of taking questions, I'll be around for 2 days, and you can grab me when you see me. I think we should probably just let the panel, the long-suffering panel, get up here and do their thing. How does that sound? Sounds great. Okay, thank you guys.